One of the areas I see my construction clients struggling with the most is dealing with communicating with their clients. It's easy in your process to have all kinds of confusion, misconstrued data, and not fully understand where everybody's at if there's not a clear plan for communication. In this episode, I'm going to give you 5 rules for communicating with your clients. Let's jump into it. Rule number 1, you got to have clear communication channels. Not everybody communicates through the same channels. So we're talking text, call, email. Maybe you have an app you want them to use. So at the front end of the process, you want to set your clear communication channels that you're using for your business. You control the process, but kind of be willing to work with them about what works for them. So, in my CRM tool that I use, Builder, I'm able to set whether it shoots them a text message, shoots them an email, or they get a push notification in the app. And clients have different preferences about how they want to be communicated with. If you can have a discussion early on in the process about the communication channels that you offer, how you prefer to operate, and understand how they prefer to operate as far as communication goes, you'll set the stage for clear, effective communication because they won't be checking their email if you're the text and call guy, and vice versa. By making those decisions early on in your process, even as early as the sales process, in how you communicate and what channels you're going to use, is going to make your project flow just so much more efficiently. Rule number 2, always be transparent and honest. Our industry is so full of contractors that try to hide things, sneak things in, hide their markup in their numbers, and do all kinds of different tactics to kind of cloak and dagger the client. One of my rules is to just always be transparent and honest. Communicate effectively through the process and really just tell it like it is. By doing this and having that as a standard, you're going to get that reciprocated back to you, and the client's going to be more honest and communicate with more transparency with you. And by having these open, honest, transparent boundaries with your client and your communication, you're going to be able to get to the root of problems. You're going to be able to just let them know issues right up front and communicate that clearly and it not be a problem. You're opening your door so that both parties are able to communicate together in a transparent and honest way, which is going to lead to effective communication. By doing it this way, you'll actually be able to solve problems together and stay on the same team throughout the construction process. Rule number 3, engage in active listening. Active listening is when you listen to what they have to say, focus on digesting just that information, and ask questions to dig deeper into what they're actually talking about. This process of active listening is going to help you uncover so much about the client, so much about the root cause of any problem that comes up, and make it easier for you to understand their struggles and problems throughout the process so that you can communicate back and help solve problems with them in a more efficient way. Instead of jumping right to solving the problem though, be sure to engage in active listening and hear them out. Engaging in active listening with your client is going to make them feel heard. It's going to make them feel like you care, and it's going to create that perception of just a healthy working relationship because you're someone that will listen to them when they complain or have a problem or have just a concern that they want to address. This is going to make getting to the root of problems and solving those problems so much easier for you because it's going to set up the fact that you guys are on the same team and looking for the same outcome together. Rule number 4, regular updates and follow-ups. It's wild how often that I run into contractors and companies that don't have a standardized process for the frequency that they're going to communicate with clients. That's something in your communication channels and standards that you've set up with the client of what your process looks like. For me, on new construction, I do a weekly log and an update for all of my clients so that once a week they get an update and know what's going on the project that week, what's getting done, and what's coming up in the pipeline. It's an opportunity for me to share photos with them, videos of the project, or any of those kind of updates. And it lets them know that I care, that I'm continually keeping them involved as part of the process, and that they know where we're at and what's coming up next. By setting a standardized cadence for follow-ups and communication with a client, it's going to make it easier for them to sit back and relax while they wait on your next update because they know it's coming. They know when it's happening. They're not going to reach out as frequently and disturb your process. They're also going to know what's coming up next because that's part of those regular follow-ups, is to let them know what's coming up on the next week, next couple months, maybe even what decisions that they need to be making next as part of your process. Rule number 5, manage expectations. We've talked about this in previous videos, but it's so important as you communicate with your clients that you set up the expectations of all these previous 4 rules. You set up the expectations of what channels you're going to use, the frequency you're going to communicate, the fact that you expect both parties to be transparent and honest, you're going to be in control. You stay in the driver's seat and set the expectations with the client of how the process is going to go. The more clear that you can articulate those expectations that you have of yourself, your team, and the client, the easier that process is going to go, because they're going to be fully aware and understand the flow of the operation. Part of managing those expectations is to have everything in writing, have a clear contract that sets out these standards. One of the expectations is, what's the availability of the project manager? Well, some companies will assume, or clients will assume, that they can reach out to the project manager 24/7 and the project manager is going to instantly respond. Well, that's not a fair expectation. So early on in your contract and your process, you can be communicating with the client like, hey, our project managers are available from 8 to 6 p.m. Anything after 6 p.m. needs to be done by email, and the project manager will get back to you the following day before lunch. Something as simple as that can clear the air so that the project manager knows that while they're home, they're not going to be getting communicated with by the clients, and they have no expectation to communicate back. And you're also setting the stage for the client to not feel let down when that project manager is not responding at 8 o'clock at night. A lot of this you can put in writing. Most of this has to be an early discussion in your process so that both parties know what to expect as far as your communication standards, when you're going to be available, who's the point of contact. As your process goes along, maybe you go from a sales guy to a designer to a project manager. So setting the stage for that and managing those expectations around handoffs to different points of contacts going to make your process flow so much easier, because when you get to that handoff, they're going to know. They're going to expect that that's going to be part of your process. So contractors, you can use these 5 rules for communicating with clients to help keep you in control of your process and in the driver's seat. If you start adding these to your systems and processes right now, it's going to be amazing how much more effective your communication is going to be with clients, and then that's going to lead to projects that run much more smooth, and then it's going to lead to long-lasting business relationships with these clients and potential referrals from them. Communication is key to construction projects, especially as projects get longer and lengthier, to communicate about all the little details. And by using these 5 rules, you can streamline that process so that everybody knows what's going on and stays up to date as the project moves forward. If this video helped you update your process for your construction business in any way, be sure to subscribe. We'll be launching contractor tip videos on a weekly basis from here on out. If you need more help in figuring out the right communication process for you and want help building out what this looks like for your company, please reach out. There's going to be a link in the description so that you can schedule a one-on-one strategy call with me for free to see how we can work together and build a quick strategy so that you can get your communication standards up to par and your projects running more smooth. I need to exit like, until next time, contractor out. Got it. Hey, that went pretty smooth.